Coming soon to own on video and DVD.
If you were a kid growing up in the 90s or 2000s, DVD and VHS were most likely a big part of your childhood. That certainly rings true for me. I have tons of fond memories of sitting in front of the TV as a kid, glued to whatever volume of Curious George or Max and Ruby I decided to watch that day. Either that or watching all those classic Disney tapes from the 90s at my grandmother's house. My younger viewers definitely know what these are, but I don't think most of you get the value that these things had. Before streaming was the thing, these babies were the only way for most kids to watch what they wanted, when they wanted. Sick of Shake It Up? Bam, poppin' Phineas and Ferb. Sick of Tom and Jerry? Bam, poppin' Scooby-Doo. Sick of hearing your parents argue? Diary of a Wimpy Kid, baby. Being the long-running franchise that it is, MLP has had a lot, and I mean a lot, of home video releases. From G1 all the way to G4. Since I'm a boring nerd who likes boring nerd stuff, I thought I would take a look at a bunch of these and share them with you. Whether good, bad, or downright ugly, welcome to the weird world of My Little Pony on home video. Let's start with G1. The very first VHS tape of MLP was in 1984, with the home video release of the first special, Rescue at Midnight Castle, distributed by Children's Video Library. For the very first release, this cover art is pretty good. The ponies look on model here, which as we get into the G1 re-releases is something you won't be seeing that much of. Megan's face looks a little off and not like anything we see in the actual special, which leads me to believe that this art is original and not a recycled frame like I thought. Curiously, the video is only labeled as My Little Pony, with no subtitle, since, at the time, this was the only My Little Pony thing ever. There's also a Greek version of this video, with the colors on the artwork changed for seemingly no reason. So instead of all the ponies being fun rainbow colors, they're all terracotta brown. These G1 tapes were put out by Jaconda Video, a distribution company from, you guessed it, Greece. Let's skip ahead a bit to the early 90s, with this tape released by UK distributor Tempo Video. The cover boasts 3 hours of pure pony pleasure. Do with that phrase what you will. Another UK tape was this mysterious one that comes in a sideways slipcover, resembling one of those blank VHS tapes you'd use to record something off a television. In the Netherlands, Pony VHSs were handled by Goodview, a Dutch company that was active in the 80s and 90s. Besides MLP, one of the only other Goodview releases was this G.I. Joe tape, so it's safe to assume that they mostly did stuff for Hasbro. For Goodview's covers, it looks like they did whatever they felt like that week. Localized American art, cutout frames from the episode, original art, it's a mixed bag. The original art that they made for these is pretty good, except for Ghosts of Paradise Estate and Return of Tambalon. I don't think any of these really know how to draw Megan all that well. This one must have looked in the mirror for the first time. Another company that handled some My Little Pony and Friends tapes was Golden Book Video. These ones are actually pretty lazy. They just put screenshots from the episode onto this yellow template with the name on it. The 1986 My Little Pony movie had a few releases by some different companies. It was first released in 1986 and then again in 1989 by Vestron Video and Video Treasures respectively. There was also a UK release of this video with a notably off-model Hydia. You could also get the movie on Betamax. You know, if you're ever in the mood for that. Weirdo. In 1990, Rescue at Midnight Castle was re-released alongside a special edition Firefly toy. Instead of calling it Rescue at Midnight Castle, they rebranded it to Firefly's Adventure, putting her at the forefront, obviously. This is the only time before G3 where Hasbro tried bundling in a toy with some sort of home video release. Stuff like this gets way more common as we move into the 2000s. While there's a ton of My Little Pony and Friends tapes I found from all around the world, My Little Ponytails didn't get as good a treatment when it came to VHS. For the United Kingdom, all they got was this one with some frickin' adorable art of the Slumber Party episode. These ones came from Sweden and were distributed by a company called Boa Video. They're similar to the Golden Book tapes for My Little Pony and Friends, where they'll take a frame from an episode and put it on the cover. But this time the backgrounds are more, I guess you could say, exciting. The guy who was making these probably found Photoshop for the first time and thought the 3D text was like the coolest thing ever. And you know, I don't blame him, these do look pretty sick. Grease is back at it again with some more off-color G1 art. This time it's for Tails, released around the same time as Jaconda's other MLP tapes. The all-knowing My Little Wiki doesn't say that these are bootlegs, so I don't get why they feel the need to mess with the colors like this. Unlike their My Little Pony and Friends tapes, these ones don't reuse American art. Here they mash together whatever frames from the episode they thought would look good. Are they having a tea party in the middle of the street? What's even going on here? And is that Clover? Why is she the only one who has the original color scheme? But wait, if you look at the hair, that's actually Patch's character model. Now sure, this may be pretty interesting, but both My Little Ponytails and My Little Pony and Friends are way more interesting on DVD. Another thing I brought up in the iceberg was how sometimes they would use G2 art for G1 DVD covers. These ones right here are some earlier ones, though G1 DVDs with G2 artwork can reportedly be found as late as 2005. In my opinion, the G2 art style is really underrated. It would have worked great for an animated thing, if the toys were more successful in the US. The ones from this era were mostly put out by Rhinomation, who, as the name would suggest, are a subsidiary of Rhino Entertainment. Alongside the normal releases, the two G1 shows were also featured on this compilation disc called Girls World, along with Gem and the Holograms and whatever other properties that Rhino thought would appeal to that demographic. But when they weren't reusing G2 art, Rhino was putting out these other MLP DVDs with original art, which ranges from passable to terrifying. These are most likely trying to copy the style of G3 with the more contoured look on the ponies' heads and the shading on the artwork. I mean, if I was a kid, I probably wouldn't be able to tell these two apart, but just look at it, man. Like, Fizzy, are you okay? I think you should get that checked out. I don't think that's normal. Their My Little Ponytails DVD is slightly better. The only thing wrong with it is Sweetheart's weird head and this castle in the background that never appeared in the show. The Swedish distributor for My Little Ponytails also put out some DVDs, which aren't as bad as the Rhino ones for G1, but I think the problem with their art is it's a little less detailed than it needs to be. What I do appreciate here is that they took some creative liberties with depicting the episodes, sort of like Gioconda. For example, we have Starlight after she got the wing cap. And yes, my favorite My Little Ponytails character, Male Rarity. But take a look at these My Little Ponytails DVDs from Italy. Do they remind you of something? G5 lookalikes aside, this art is really good. As much as I rag on some of the other ones for looking weird, they really didn't need to go all out like this for My Little Ponytails. The most recent G1 DVD releases have been by Shout Factory. If you don't know who they are, they're basically the DVD guys nowadays. They'll do a release of anything, from the Super Mario Bros. Super Show to Clive Barker's Nightbreed, most of them with new original artwork. Their DVD for the '86 movie just reuses Rhino's art, but their collections for My Little Pony and Friends use this stock art that Hasbro loves to slap on anything whenever they have to put out a G1 product. T-shirts, mugs, headphones, you name it. Yeah, it might not have as much personality as some of the other ones, but that's Hasbro for you. And as generic as it might be, at least it's not their art for the My Little Ponytails DVD. You know, not everything has to look like G3. If you don't like that, maybe you can just buy this bootleg My Little Ponytails DVD. Oh yeah, did I forget to mention bootlegs? Surprisingly, My Little Pony doesn't have any weird bootlegs when it comes to DVDs. Most of it is only aimed at collectors. Since the home video market is where G3 was born and raised, there isn't all that much to talk about in terms of different releases. During the time that G3 was coming out, there was a whole shift from VHS to DVD going on, so that's probably the most interesting thing we'll get to. The early specials were mostly put out on tapes, with them transitioning to discs only starting in 2006. Minty Christmas and A Runaway Rainbow are the only ones that you can get on both formats. Well, that is if you don't count the storybook DVD releases, but I really don't. In general, G3 was when they really started packing in home video content with the actual ponies. Like, that was their whole bread and butter back then. The first 3 20-minute specials couldn't be bought separately, so if you wanted to watch them, you had to buy the pony that they came with. Some of them were also included as bonus episodes and other standalone DVDs. In case you couldn't tell, the animated stuff for G3 is pretty scattered. There's so much material that was either only packaged with a toy or released on a single DVD. It's not like any of the others where you have a definitive release list of every episode. No, you need to put together an entire bibliography if you want to track down all of it. G3.5 is also more of the same. Not much to mention, except sometimes they'd package in a little bonus pony with some of the DVDs, instead of the DVD being packaged in with the pony, if that makes any sense. I remember around that time in the 2000s, other franchises like Lego and Thomas the Tank Engine would do this. Just put a little guy in there so that it would catch kids' attention and make them beg their parents to buy it for them. So, now we have G4. In the early years, they still did the bundle the video in with the toy thing. Up until 2012, some ponies would come with a random episode from Season 1, like this Twilight with the Ticketmaster, or this Trixie with Lesson 0, an episode that she's not even in. Aside from those, Friendship is Magic's DVD releases aren't all that different from any other modern cartoon. Almost every season of the show was released separately in its own little volume, but you also have some DVDs with random episodes put together in a little compilation. The season DVDs are for fans who want a full collection, and the random compilations are more for the kids. These ones all revolve around a certain theme, like Friends and Family, or The Crystal Empire, or Applejack. Gone are the days of weird art drawn by some guy in Argentina or whatever. All of the Friendship is Magic DVDs use these stock art vectors for each character, so they all look on model. Most of the time. Sometimes they'll use renders like these that are just poorly inked concept art from Lauren Faust. The season volumes go from having these collage type covers to these less creative ones, starting with Season 6. And no official DVD for Season 9 has been released thus far, and at this point I doubt they'll make one. The show is over, in every sense of the word, and all of it's up on streaming. Speaking of streaming, I should probably talk about that. Alongside FIM, only one of the Equestria Girls movies is up on Netflix. All other My Little Pony media is scattered on a few sites. Tubi has all of My Little Pony and Friends and My Little Ponytails, but only the first G3 special. The 86 movie, the 2017 movie, the rest of Equestria Girls, and the rest of G3 are available to buy or rent on YouTube. And you know, I'm not one of those fans who actively despises G3, but I really don't want to pay $9 to watch A Very Minty Christmas legally. Since G5 is being released straight to Netflix, I doubt they'll do a physical release for it. I know Netflix puts DVDs out sometimes for their more popular stuff like Stranger Things, so maybe there's some hope, but don't count on it. Being able to actually hold a movie or TV show in your hands is a cool novelty that's sadly fading away as we speak. That's a real charm to physical media that streaming just doesn't capture. Plus, a big franchise like My Little Pony can have so many different releases that it's just fun to see what they've done over the years. From weird foreign cover art, to toy exclusive content, to collections designed specifically for fans, My Little Pony has had a interesting, let's say, track record when it comes to home video. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave it a like and drop a comment down below. Your support means the world to me. If you want to see more videos, hit that subscribe button and click on the little bell icon so that you get notified whenever I put out a new one. I can't think of a better outro, so until next time, goodbye.